Holy hell, is this a different angle? So yeah, I have changed my entire setup for the sake of doing this video. I had a good stand, but it wasn't quite tall enough, so I have my Oculus box holding it up. And I have a 15-pound weight holding the back of the stand because it would not stand by itself at this angle. So yes, like you might have realized from the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be doing a little bit of a repair on this reshelled Game Boy well, not Game Boy Micro, Game Boy SP. This one has a very minor thing that I have to fix. Now, both of these consoles that I'm going to be doing here today do function. If you're here to see someone who bought like something on eBay that was broken and fixed it up because they could get a good deal on it, this isn't that video. That's not entirely what I do yet. If you want to look for something like that, like Spawn Wave, stuff like that, those are probably good options. I'm just going to be cleaning up two consoles that I already have. So this one is going to be a relatively shorter repair. It's not much of a repair, it's more of something that's been bothering me. As I was the one that reshelled this, I made a mistake and had to order a new part. But we also have this Game Boy Micro, which I think I've mentioned in previous videos, I actually got this thing used, but I got it for free. Obviously, I got it used. It's kind of beat up, and I was wanting to do a whole reshell on this thing, but it's kind of hard to find full shells for this that don't suck, and it really doesn't need an entire reshell. It mostly just needs cleaned out with a few things fixed. Now, to show you exactly what the issues are, we'll start off with the SP. I did reshell this SP right here. It might seem like it's not in focus. It's because I'm using my little micro lens. There's a hair right there. Yeah, I have a new phone. It lets me record things super close. Like, that is that tiny little light button right there. You might notice, yeah, there's some stuff under the screen. So when I reshelled this, I also replaced the screen. There's actually a glass screen right here. But I kind of messed it up, and there's stuff underneath it. So the goal is to replace that with another new screen that I purchased that's also made out of glass. If you're wondering why I have to replace the screen instead of just taking it off and cleaning it, there's actually adhesive that holds it down. And when you take it off, there's a very good chance that it'll break. And in fact, whenever I reshelled this, I actually did break the old original screen protector. But then, the Game Boy Micro. So yeah, this faceplate is super beat up. I need to replace this faceplate, and what's interesting, if you guys might not know, this is a silver Game Boy Micro, but it seems that this has been repaired before. Sorry, I'm really shaky. At least the faceplate's been replaced before, because the Game Boy Micro Silver doesn't have a black faceplate. It has a silver faceplate. So that's arguably the biggest difference I'm going to have in this, but changing that is really easy to do. This thing really needs cleaned out. Some of these ports are kind of gunky, stuff like that. But if you look here on the back of this device, sorry about the little dot in the center. I'm having to record my screen to do this. Stop trying to pull up the best shot. Look at that bent plastic. I'm going to try and heat that up and bend it back. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and start off with this SP. First, I have to remove all of these rubber pads. If you want to do this yourself, it's literally just these two, like, you know, every cornering of a rubber pad on and one here in the center. I also did purchase a set of tools. To be fair, I already had tools to do these kinds of repairs, but I just bought this little bag. It seemed to have some useful things in it. Yeah, so we got a little spudger for separating stuff. We have some screwdrivers, which are actually kind of important. I think two of these are, yeah, there's at least one tri-wing. Yeah, we have the tri-wings that Nintendo likes to use, along with like little SIM card removers meant for phones, another little spudger-like device, tweezers for some reason, and a guitar pick. I think it's also meant for like prying things apart. So yeah, I'm just using this itty-bitty little flathead to remove these little pieces of rubber. Alright, rubber has been removed. Now we have to use the tri-wing to remove all of these screws. Now, I know a lot of the times if you're actually replacing the screen, you have to take this whole thing apart. My goal is going to be avoiding doing that. I just want to try and get to the faceplate. I'm hoping we can do that by just taking apart the top flap. Okay, turns out these little screwdrivers here kinda suck. Well, it's a good thing I have this. It's a much better set. I just, was wanting to try and do it using the tools that I purchased, but nah, we get to use this. Yep, that's much better. These screws are kind of older, so... Sorry, I think the microphone is too close to my mouth there. These screws are kind of older, and they've been removed before. So I have to be careful that I don't strip them and put a lot of back pressure on them. If you're taking apart your Game Boy SP for the first time, there is a good chance that they're going to be really tough to get out because they've been sitting in that plastic for so long. So in order to prevent stripping them, make sure that you have the correct tri-wing bit, and that you put a good amount of back pressure on it, because there are two different tri-wings. But you want to like put your hand beneath it, put the screwdriver in the screw, and put some pressure down when you twist it. It should be noted that I am not an expert on this. I don't usually do this kind of thing that often. Actually, this Game Boy reshell was one of my first like actual repairs. But I imagine this will go decently well, maybe. Aha, so I was able to get it off without taking apart the whole body. The biggest issue is I do have to worry about not destroying that ribbon cable, but that really shouldn't be a problem. And you can see, like, that glass screen does look nice. There's just gunk underneath it. So I think the hope is that this little spudger is at least halfway decent. I can try and pry it up with this. Okay, it's kind of working. I'm definitely bending the glass a little bit, and I should probably be wearing gloves while I do this, because, again, I did replace this with glass, and if it shatters, that's not going to feel too nice. But I'm kind of getting right there in between the screen and the glass there. Sorry this camera angle isn't the best. As I said, this is not what this channel is usually about, but I would like to start doing stuff like this. So if you have any suggestions on how I could film this kind of stuff better, maybe make it more interesting, maybe you filmed this kind of stuff before and you have better ideas for like camera setups and stuff like that, you know, that isn't me putting a 15-pound weight on the back of my camera stand, yeah, feel free to leave them down there in the comments. So right now, I'm not really trying to lift the screen off. I'm more so trying to just run this spudger between the screen itself and the protector. The bottom side is going to be the hardest, just to kind of break the glue up, and then it should be a lot easier to lift off. I know a lot of people recommend that you can use heat. You can actually heat up the adhesive. That is probably fine to do. I just think if you can avoid it, and you feel comfortable trying to do it with this method, it's probably going to be less of a chance of you damaging anything by exposing your Game Boy to heat. Alright, I've gone all the way around once and kind of broke up the glue a little bit. Now we want to go back around the top again. There we go, now it's starting to pop off. Try to get this side right here. Now fun fact, this is my childhood Game Boy SP. That is why it has been reshelled. Normally, I don't really tell people, like, you know, I wouldn't want you to go out and reshell your SP, because having an OEM is so much nicer, unless you're modding it and stuff like that, like you want to add like an LCD screen, you know, that's a bit different. But if you just want to reshell it because you like this weird tribal crap that I picked for my shell, maybe don't. I always prefer OEM, and I like the idea of there being more and more good conditioned OEM, like complete OEM Game Boys out there. I reshelled mine because mine was a complete disaster. I did not know how to take care of crap as a kid, and the shell was pretty much useless. Alright, this bottom part is proving to be the hardest by far. I do have it kind of split off right here. It's probably not the easiest to see on camera. But the bottom is really sticking. Plus, I am fighting this ribbon cable the whole time because I don't want to be too aggressive on it and damage the ribbon cable. Whatever kind of adhesive this company used that sold me this screen, good lord, they did not want you to take the screen off again. Alright, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's slowly coming off. I'm bending this glass more than I would like. Please don't want my first time doing a video like this in a disaster. Please. I would like it if it didn't do that. I'm not a rich YouTuber. I don't want to have to go out and buy another SP. To be fair, if the screen got damaged, I wouldn't be that sad. I mean, I would be, because I haven't actually playing this thing lately. There it goes. There is our glass protector fully removed. But anyways, yeah, I wouldn't mind putting a mod on my SP, like using an LCD screen instead of this original one. Because this isn't an AGS 101, it is just a original SP. Alright, we are recording on phone again. So just to kind of show you, that dirt and stuff was on the screen itself. Like, look at all of this just crud in here. Like, especially whatever the hell that is, that was what was bothering me the most right there in the center. Well, it's not really centered, it's pretty far to the left. That was bothering me more than anything. A little bit of particles, like, I would happily get rid of, but that was the biggest annoyance. The glass screen itself was actually kind of clean. I mean, it's kind of smudged up because of my fingers now. But yeah, it has been removed. So that means that we do have our new screen in here. Let's open this up. I haven't even opened it yet. Also, for some reason, the seller sent a Zapdos sticker with it. Can't really tell you why, but it is my favorite Pokeboy, so, well, my favorite of the legendary birds anyways, so good choice from the seller. Anyways, normally I don't show off eBay seller things, but if the screen ends up being good, there is their thing. They also have a Discord for some reason. Yeah. And here is the screen. It is nice and shrink wrapped and crap, but that's fine. Actually, we can leave the front on there for now, I suppose. The biggest thing is we need to clean this thing off. So I picked up these. I mean, they're just like standard wipes. You would actually want to use these for your camera lenses, apparently. So I figured if it's safe for a camera lens, it's safe for a Game Boy screen. It says that this is supposed to be wet. It is not. That is dry. Like, that is not... I mean, it's at least getting the crap off. That's not moist. Well, I do have these. We have backups. I actually own these. Like, I didn't buy these for this video. These are meant for cleaning my glasses. So hopefully it won't destroy this. Alright, so I don't really need to unwrap this whole thing. We just need to kind of gently go across the screen, try to remove all of this debris. Maybe I should just pick up a second camera or even just like use my phone and just like give it to my girlfriend and have her act as a cameraman. But to be fair, there isn't that much space back here. Like, there's not much space in this recording setup. I can't stress like how tight of a system I have going on here. Alright, that looks pretty clean. So now we have the protector itself. Again, this is made out of glass. So I do want to be a little careful, but it's not like it's going to be too difficult just to kind of lay down. Alright, so we peel that off and we reveal the adhesive on the back end. It was kind of hard to get a grip on. And this looks like the same adhesive that was used on the other glass screen that I just now removed. Oh, there's like another layer in there. That's kind of weird. It's like a paper layer. So this might even be the same person who sold me the other one, or maybe they just, you know, they don't actually make these and they just buy them from someplace in China. There we go, that came off. And that already looks clean. Of course, we have bubbles. That's from this protective layer on the other side. I can go ahead and take that off. Normally, you might want to leave it on, but honestly, the other end is going to be exposed anyways. So it's probably a good thing to take it off, because you can always clean the other side at any time. That way you can see, and yeah, there is a tiny little hair. And that is on the inside. Yup, good thing I did that. Yeah, there's a little bit of crap here on the inside of this thing. So don't act like you're washing a car. Don't go moving in circles. I usually just go one direction across in order to keep it from streaking, especially using a wipe like this. Streaking isn't really that much of an issue, because this is kind of what they're made for. Alright, that looks clean. I'm not seeing anything sticking up from it. Let's put a little thing behind it. Yeah, that looks pretty clean. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to do this, but what I did last time I did this change is I actually put the screen, the screen protector back inside the shell in order to line it up. Because if you put it on the screen wrong, it's not going to line up with the frame of the SP. So I line it up in the protector first, like in the shell first. This adhesive is kind of getting on my fingers. Then lay the screen down onto it. Now there is a little bit of wiggle room in here. So what you want to try and do is just center it as much as you can. At least that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if it's best to treat what I'm doing right now as a tutorial if you're wanting to do this yourself. Again, sorry if the volume is bad. I keep getting too close to the mic and not even thinking about it. But I'm not too sure if you want to treat this as a tutorial or not. Again, I'm not an expert. I am a technician, so this isn't too far off from what I do for a living. Alright, actually, I'm going to scrap that idea. I think that's how I did it last time, but now I'm kind of concerned it's not going to line up quite right. We're going to take this back out, we're going to flip it around, and we're going to do it directly on the screen. And just hope that I don't screw it up. Now that looks nice and lined up. I know it probably won't show very well on that top camera right now. We're just going to kind of press the sides, get the adhesive to actually stick, and then we're going to lay it back down inside. It's back in. Now I just got to put the back on and screw it together and hope that my screen actually looks decent. Also, in case you might be wondering, when I mentioned that I did reshell this SP, because, you know, it was my childhood one, it was a red SP, in case anyone was wondering. It was just like the standard red SP. If you're wondering why I picked this shell, I figured if I'm going to be reshelling it, I wanted to keep it red, because, you know, that's what I had for my entire childhood. And so, come on, don't fight me. I want to keep it how I had it, you know, throughout my childhood. But then I was like, you know, I don't want to, you know, one day down the road, sell this, or it simply just ends up in somebody else's hands, you know, over time. And they see the red shelled SP and they think, oh, this is OEM. So I went with something that's very clearly not OEM, not something that Nintendo did. In order to make it obvious to anybody in the future that would ever get their hands on this SP, that while it is still a functioning, great console, it's not OEM, and don't think that it is. I know it's weird that I think about that kind of stuff, but, like, this is kind of what I like to do. You know, I'm a collector. But, like, you know, what collector can say that, you know, how, like, point out any game in a game collector's, you know, collection, somebody collects in there, and ask them the last time that they played it. You know, ask them if they're interested in playing it again and stuff like that. A lot of the times, you know, you're not going to have the best answers when it comes to that kind of crap. I think one of the biggest thing about collecting games and stuff like that is the responsibility of preserving them, keeping them in good condition, keeping them ready to where, you know, one day down the road, if somebody wants that dumb fishing game that you have for the Genesis, which for some reason I own a fishing game on the Genesis, you know, it might not mean that much to me, but if I can keep it in as good as condition as I can based on the condition that I got it in, then, you know, one day down the line, someone else can appreciate that game for what it is and what it was, as opposed to, you know, just emulating it. And it's the same with these kind of game consoles. You know, if somebody were to get a hold of this SP down the line, you know, it's kind of nice to show, you know, hey, this isn't quite OEM, this isn't quite what the console originally was. You know, if you're kind of getting what I'm meaning, I want to make it obvious that this was a modded thing. You can see, there's a little speck there, isn't there? Well, I tried. It's so hard to see with the bare eye, I won't lie. Like, seeing it with this camera, like I said, this is a micro lens. Like, look at that Gameboy SP logo right there. And then look at it on my top camera. Like, it is such a tiny lens. So, I don't know if I'll even be able to notice that little speck with my bare eye. Let's turn the console on. And with it not being the brightest screen, that probably helps. And yeah, you can still definitely see it on camera. Oh, there's some white crap in that corner too. I can't see that at all with my eye though. To give you a better idea, this is it on the main camera up here. Like, it's clean, it's not perfect. There's my face. But it is a million times better than it was. There's no more specks in the center of the screen anymore. And that's the biggest thing to me. I know it's a very OCD thing, that I was so worried about those little specks and crap. But this, while there is a couple around the edges of the screen, I really don't notice them when I look at it myself. There's one there. Okay, that was on the outside. So was that. Yeah, there's one down here near the bottom that I noticed, but it's not nearly as bad. That is so clean by comparison. So I did almost forget, I do have one more thing for the SP before we go on to the micro. I also took a little bit of a break, so I adjusted my microphone a little bit. Hopefully I won't have any more issues with getting too close to the mic. Normally on the back of an SP, you have a little label that goes right here. It kind of tells you like the model number and all of that. I wanted to replace it, because obviously reshells don't usually come with those. And whenever I look for this sticker, all I'm finding is the AGS 101. This is not an AGS 101, and I don't want to lie to people. So I wanted to get something else that's obviously not, you know, OEM. So we have a Fire Emblem one. So yeah, I know, it is blue. It's not like the, doesn't really fit the shell that well. There was a Groudon one for Pokemon, but I'm just too big of a Fire Emblem fan, so I don't know. It kind of felt fitting. I wish there was a red option. It was the only Fire Emblem one I could find, so we got the Fire Emblem sticker on there, and it has the usual text that you would normally have on on the back of it. So now we move on to the Game Boy Micro. I did adjust my camera a little bit. I was trying to lower it some. It didn't work out that well, but it is going to be a smaller teardown. So like I said, we are replacing the faceplate, and I do have a silver faceplate right here. But I also want to try and just clean this whole thing out, as well as possibly warp this cartridge slot back into place. Because that is such a bad dent in there, and I've tried and I just can't quite do it. So I have a heat gun that might work. Now the first step is rather simple. To remove the faceplate itself, you got these two little holes right here. You use a paper clip or something. I'm hoping that this might work. You stick it in the holes and you pop the face cover up with that. I'm just pulling back out this little flathead to try and finish prying it up. There we go. And it comes straight off, and good God, that thing is dirty. Let's get another shot. So yeah, look at some of the dirt and dust, and oh, I'm in the wrong mode. All right, we got the macro lens out, and it's like, look at that speaker hole right there. Like around these buttons, we have all this crud. Like, again, it looks so much worse on camera because I'm using this really, really close-up little lens. What is that hole there? Oh, I guess it's on both ends. I don't know, maybe there's a screw on the back end of it. I've never actually taken one of these apart. But this thing is just filthy. I'm going to have to get some Q-tips and crap and trying to clean this thing out. I mean, the screen itself is just kind of gross. I mean, the screen protector was definitely a problem. It's super scratched up. But the hope is that we can get all of this fixed up. So let's go ahead and pull out my handy little screwdriver kit here. I just need me a Phillips. And yes, we are going to be going through a guide on how to do this, as I've never done it before. So I just have a thing from iFixit pulled up on a teardown of the Game Boy Micro on my little crappy Fire tablet. I think it just loosens, right? That's a self-retaining screw. Yeah, it is. So take off this little back cover. You got the battery in here. Woo. Battery literally just plugs in right there. Bam. Battery is out. Super easy to change these things. I mean, even inside of here, like, there's some just dirt and crap. Fun fact. So I told you I got this for free. It was actually a gift from a friend of mine. I think it was for my birthday or it was Christmas. Either way, he found this in his basement. He didn't even know it existed, and at the time, I didn't know this was a thing either, to be honest, but now it's one of the most expensive Game Boys. Alright, so now we have two really small tri-ring screws. Holy God! I did have a speech impediment as a child, but good God, it is coming back. Now, I have never taken it apart more than it is in the state it is now. So this is all new water for me. I will mention that I am specifically doing the motherboard replacement guide in order to fully see how this thing comes apart. That is a tiny screw. It does list this guide as max difficulty, so I'm sure this will go well. Oh, we also have to do on this side, which is where the little volume button is. That's one thing I don't like about the Micro. It's the only thing I like less about the Micro as opposed to like the SP, is that the volume thing is a little toggle, so it makes like a beep sound whenever you change the volume. Ooh, don't lose that screw. So in the battery cover, that's interesting. This has been taken apart. So you can see that there are, again, not really the best camera for it. We have 3 screws here. Those are all Phillips. There's supposed to be a tri-wing here, and they have been removed. I did not do that. Well, that made a little bit of a pop noise. That makes me much less confident in what I'm doing right now. Ah, we might not have as much work to do as I thought. With those screws removed, this just comes straight off. And this is our damaged shell. Now, what is somewhat surprising, if you couldn't tell from the outside, this is actually pure metal. This is a pure metal body right here. And we already have access to the part I'm wanting to repair, which is this beat up cover for the Game Boy slot. And now that it doesn't have those 2 plastic tabs in the way, it'll be a lot easier to bend back. Okay, so I am going to go one step further because I want to see this motherboard and make sure that there's nothing on there that needs cleaned up. So we do have 2 more Phillips to remove here to remove this plastic shell. And to make sure I don't lose this itty-bitty screw, I'm just going to use these little tweezers. Hey, this kit is actually coming in handy. It came with tweezers and a spudger. And now we can lift this up. It did note that the volume switch and the triggers might try to come with it. We're getting a little bit of a snag here. Alright, so back to recording on the phone. They didn't mention one part in the iFixit guide. So we removed the screw there, and we removed our screw here. But right here at the very end, next to this bumper, you can see there's like a little plastic tab kind of sticking out. I'll have to highlight it in the video. I think I need to press that back in order to actually lift it out, because it's like snagging right there. So like I said, they didn't mention it. You're probably going to see my little pop socket here. I'm going to use it to like, yeah, hey, I can actually keep this camera going. I might have to like pinch that back in order to lift off this plastic right here. Yeah, so if you're doing this and you're following the iFixit guide, that is one thing that they didn't mention. So again, when you're doing a repair like this, do not be forceful on anything unless the guide specifically says it's going to take some force. If it says that should come off easy and you have followed all of the steps correctly, do not be forceful, because it means they might have forgotten something. So I will say this board is pretty clean. We have a little bit of like corrosion up here on our connector there. Sorry, my little pop socket's going to prevent me from going all the way back, but it works as a phone stand. But aside from that, this board is clean. I am worried about the other side, though, so I think we are going to do a full teardown of this thing, which was not my original intent. Okay, I would like to mention, they did show that step. It was on the next step they showed that you had to pinch that part. They didn't show it in the original step, and they even mentioned removing the plastic. Sorry about that, but they didn't mention that you don't actually remove the plastic till the next step, so that could be my bad. So we have one screw here to remove. And I'm telling you now, when it gets down to ribbon cable steps, we're backing out. We'll be done. I'm not messing with no ribbon cables today. Not if I don't have to. We're going a lot deeper than my original intent. Okay, actually, we're gonna go ahead and call it there. I was worried if there's gunk underneath the buttons or whatever, but we're not gonna get into it. I was looking further in the guide, and oh, there goes my other bumper. But that goes deeper than I want to go. So we're just going to start putting this crap back on. Yeah, this camera kind of works. The only issue is that I have to record my screen because my phone doesn't let you record with the macro lens, which is kind of dumb. So I'm literally recording my screen, and the camera app likes to just say, hey, I'm done, and leave if you haven't taken a photo or recorded anything after so many minutes. There we go. We got those back in there. Not that it really matters. We can go ahead and set this piece to the side. And yeah, the main purpose of this step is to bend this piece of crap back into place. And I might not... Oh, that is dirty as hell. But I might not need to apply heat. You know, I'm actually doing a decent job of bending it back using just my fingers. I just don't want to risk snapping this metal, as it does not feel that thick or sturdy. Maybe I'll have to get it on a flat surface and hit it with a hammer to try and get it like flat, if you know what I mean. But I mean, it's not too bad so far. Also, this piece right here was actually bent further down than it's supposed to be, which explains why when I put the screw back in my battery cover, it was actually not going on quite straight. It was actually somewhat, like there's a gap in the battery cover. I've seen other people's like Game Boy Micros, and that seems to be somewhat normal. But I just kind of bent this out straight, and hopefully it'll fix that. If not, I'm not that worried about it. It's just a battery cover. See, I'm afraid. Like, I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Because if I take a hammer to it, I might have some ugly dents in the back of it, and I really don't want to do that. I could use pliers or even vice grips to try and get it straight. But again, the teeth on the vice grips or the pliers are also going to kind of cut into that a little bit, and I would like to avoid that. You know, I gotta say, that's not too bad of a job. It's still a little wavy. Alright, so here's what I decided I want to do. At one point at work, we were working on a large piece of metal that had to be reshaped. It was bent to hell and back. It was really hard to bend, and the biggest thing is we were trying to prevent it from being cosmetically damaged as well. So we actually had to use heat, because again, it was a large piece of metal. But one thing that another technician taught me was to prevent the grip marks from scuffing up whatever you're working on is fairly simple. Put your pliers in a towel. We'll see how well this works. Because I'm having issues with this one corner right here. It's still lifted too high. So the idea is that I can just grip it with this and bend it back down, and that is perfect. This corner is also a little too high. So we're just going to really easily bend it down. then just do some little adjustments. Like right here is a little tab that's kind of hanging down. Now, if you wanted to do something like this yourself, I would recommend something possibly a bit thicker than this just little generic dish rag. But it seems to be doing the job. There's no scuff marks on the corners. There's a little one. But nothing that's really going to be noticed by anybody, I would assume. And again, it's not perfect, but my god, that is far better than it was. Now, for actually cleaning this thing out, I am just going to be using some Q-tips. I'm also going to be using this 91% isopropyl alcohol. I have a little tip for this as well. If you want to get it without getting it everywhere, stick the Q-tip into the hole in the bottle, turn the bottle upside down, and give it a little squeeze. That'll soak the Q-tip without getting alcohol everywhere. Now, normally if you're doing electronics, I believe, if I remember correctly, that's what we use in the arcade, anything above 70% isopropyl alcohol is fine to use on boards and electronics. Again, I would suggest looking that up before you go using 70%, but that is what we use in the arcades, and it never causes us any trouble. I believe anything lower than that, then there's too much water in it, and it won't evaporate properly, and it will cause problems with your board. It could short things out, yada yada. So we're just going to try and get off a lot of this. There's a lot underneath this little lip right here. It looks almost like rust. Music to no one's ears. Keep scrubbing some of this. There's like little tack weld spots right there. Yeah, that's like rust right there that I am just not getting off. That or just a really bad stain. It doesn't have quite the right color to be rust, but it could be. Alright, I'd say that is pretty clean. I won't say it's perfect, but there's a couple spots like right here and right here I just can't quite get. But it's not bad. Also, again, as getting this used, I don't know what happened to this label right here. Maybe I should get that replaced too? I don't know. So then we go back to the micro itself. These buttons are so annoying, these bumpers up here. I keep saying bumpers. Can you tell that I'm an Xbox person? The triggers. Also hair. I don't really think there's much cleaning that really needs done inside of this. It's mostly going to be right there on the front of the shell. Although I could try to get some of that off there on that connector. So if you have any wonderings as to the Game Boy Micro, it was the last Game Boy ever... Oh, that's coming off clean. It was the last Game Boy ever produced. It had a very good screen. I want to say it was just an AGS 101, or at the very least it's comparable to one. It was also just meant to be the smallest Game Boy that they could make at the time. I don't believe it can run on... original Game Boy games, but it can do Game Boy Advance, obviously. I don't think it can do original Game Boy. I haven't tried, but I have my doubts. I don't really know why you would want to. The cartridge would stick out so far on this little thing. Alright, pop this thing in here, get both of our triggers back in. I'm sorry, I kept calling them bumpers. Do they call it? No, they don't call that on PlayStation. They call it the R1 and R2. I actually prefer that. I did grow up with PlayStation and Xbox. I just don't have a modern PlayStation console, sadly. So I guess all that's left now is to start reassembling. This little plastic thing needs cleaned out too. I would like to thank anybody watching this right now for various different reasons. One, if this is your first time on my channel, thank you for subscribing. See, my ego is so large that I just assume that you already have. But no, seriously, thank you for watching. But if you're one of my... regular viewers, you know, you're mostly here for the collections and more than likely for Pokemon. That's mostly what this channel is, if you can't tell. But like I said recently, with me doing the game collection video, and of course I'm starting that game pickup series, I want to start doing gaming on this channel more often. And one of my favorite kind of videos on YouTube are just this, people repairing old consoles. So I do like the idea of doing this once in a while on this channel. Of course, it likely won't be a all-the-time thing. I don't have the money to go buying consoles all the time just to fix them up. I do also want to do some more things that are similar to this, like game cases that are just destroyed. I've even considered buying a disc resurfacer. I think it would be a cool idea because I have some demo discs. Well, not demo. Well, actually, some of them they are demo discs, but I have some discs that are just so beat up. There's no way in hell they would run. So we can try and push the limits of a disc resurfacer, and see how far it can go. But of course, those can get pretty pricey if you want one that actually works. Alright, I'd say that's pretty clean. Let's slap that back on there. But no, it is awesome if you are one of my usual viewers and you came to watch this video, which means that, you know, more than likely you're here for Pokemon and all of that, and you were still interested in this, then seriously, thank you for watching. I did, for anybody wondering, whenever you do something like this, you do want to be very careful with what screws go where. A screw that is like a millimeter too long or too short in the wrong spot can really screw things up. So make sure that you get the right screws and that you remember which ones go where. Usually it's a good idea to lay them out in one way or another. I kind of did here, but it also wasn't that many screws. Another huge suggestion is to not only follow a guide. iFixit, like I said, tends to be one of the best. But following a guide tends to help. But if it's something that, you know, you can't find anything on, or you just kind of want to do it yourself, or even if you are following a guide, sometimes one of the best things that you can do, oh, I forgot that needs to click in right there, is take pictures as you go. You could film it if you wanted to, like I am right now, but filming it isn't necessarily needed. Take pictures as you go. What is this? Oh, that's my, my volume rocker. Also, if I was saying something, I lost track of it, so don't expect whatever I was saying to come back. There we go, that's back in. Oh, there's a little bit of debris in this. Let's just try and dig that out with a screwdriver. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I do have other consoles that could use some work. Nothing super crazy, mostly just like cleaning up. So I'm not sure if I want to do videos on those. I don't know how interesting that would be just to watch somebody clean like a PS1. There's some gunk in this little gap that I couldn't get to, and I just realized these tweezers are really sharp, and I can just kind of scrape it out. Yeah, that works pretty well, even though there's no way in hell you guys can see it. But yeah, this isn't too far off from what I do for a living. Of course, the electronics I work on are not usually this small. You know, we're talking about whole arcade machines here. But they do tend to be. I have some smaller parts I have to work on once in a while. I'm just kind of cleaning out this little metal strip right here. And actually, the cartridge reader is super clean. Like, I'm shocked at some of the state that this thing was in. And then I see that, and it's just clean. Alright, it's finally time to put the back on. Which makes me excited. Because now we can kind of start to see how... Ooh, that clicked in so clean. Ooh, that looks so much better. There's still a little bit of warp, but very little. Oh, there's some gunk on that too. Holy God, I keep finding more spots. But hey, for a Game Boy that was just found in someone's basement, this thing wasn't too bad. I mean, the faceplate I should have replaced a long time ago. And I'm actually very happy to have it with a silver faceplate, because when you have the black one, the screen just kind of blends into it. And so, like, when it's off, you can't even fully tell, unless you actually look at it, how large the screen is. Because it's not a big screen, and I kind of like showing that off. And now that we get to go to the factory silver, which I know goes against my idea of the OEM parts, my bad. I liked the silver, man. I could have gotten, like, blue or something, but it will look super weird. So this is probably, like, one of my only repairs I've ever done where I'm actually sticking with, you know, things that look OEM that aren't. Alright, so we got our two itty-bitty little green screws that go back into these two holes. So that's screw number one. And I actually hope that the battery cover lines up better this time around as well, now that I bent that into what looks like a much better shape. And then our silver screw, and I should have, yeah, I was about to say, did I lose two screws? Goes right here. I do kind of hate that I'm missing those two tri-wing screws, because that would help hold the whole thing down, but I didn't even know that I was missing those before today. Alright, now we just need to put... God, these are so small, and they're going to be such a pain to do, and these are tri-wing. So let's get you back in there, little boy. Yeah, I think next time I do this, I will have to try and find a way to get a second camera set up to get closer shots. Or, like I said, get my lady friend to actually just kind of record it for me. Like, have one stationary camera like right now with somebody else recording it. But hey, this isn't too bad for like my first time, you know, kind of testing it out. It's not like I can say it's my first time ever filming a video, because by no means is that true. But, you know, I can make the excuse that I've never filmed this kind of video. Alright, those are back on. They're looking much better. We also have the two top screws, which will actually really help hold this thing down. And the tweezers coming for the save again. I couldn't get the screw lined up with the hole using my fingers, but the tweezers did it. Oh, it's a little lopsided, but I can straighten it. Yep, there we go. That screw is really important because this side was really wanting to kind of pop out. Alright, top screws are both back in. Now, what we really need to do is actually we can go ahead and get the back on it now, get the battery back in, and then I need to clean this mess. Actually, I probably shouldn't put the battery in if I'm going to be using liquids, you know, rubbing, you know, isopropyl alcohol on this. Alright, so now we're basically down to here. We got to try and clean this thing out. I don't know how I'm going to get that speaker clean. I don't really have compressed air or anything. Not that air seems to function on it. I could just try and use the tweezers and get some of the gunk out that way. And just, oh, actually, it's a pretty fine mesh. Well, like, pretty, you know, it's very thick. Maybe I could just kind of scrape it out with the tweezers. Yeah, that's actually working much better than I thought. Alright, so just to kind of get a bit of a better shot on this thing. Yeah, this is our little speaker mesh right here. And, like, it is, like, super thick mesh. Like, I was able just to kind of scrape along it with this thing and get, like, all the crap out of it. Now, I get to try and do around these buttons and all of these other just, like, little nooks and crannies, which is probably going to take me quite a while. Alright, screen aside, I would have to say this is much better than it was before. It's got a macro lens here. I mean, there's still, yeah, that's a little nastier. I cannot even see that. How is the camera picking that up? But that is a lot better. Of course, with this macro lens, everything looks disgusting. But it's better, alright? Just trust me, it is much better. Like, look at my thumb compared to it, alright? How can I expect to see that with the naked eye? Alright, let's start wiping down that screen. And then get the new faceplate on it, which I am just so stoked about. Again, we're just going to be really gentle and just kind of glide across the screen. I did take a Q-tip to the edges of it. I don't know how good that alcohol is for screens. So what I actually did is I got some alcohol on the Q-tip because I had to be a little bit of moisture. Like, I had to be a little bit of moisture on there. So I just like got a little bit of alcohol on the Q-tip, then like kind of dried it off a little bit to where it's just a little damp, and then went along the edges. And now I'm just trying to clean it off, get it looking good, try to get some of these like just spots out of it. Now on the upside, unlike the Game Boy SP, if I did get anything on this screen, I don't have to spend any money to open it up and clean it out. And you don't even need like any tools. You can open it with a paper clip. Actually, that's what they suggested that you do on iFixit's website. So it really isn't that big of a deal if I miss something. But I think I did a pretty good job. Alright, time for our new silver faceplate. Oh, this looks so clean. Look at this baby right here. That is a nice finish on this thing. A little bit of scratches on the inside here. Like, a little bit of scratches, but I mean, that's on the inside, and it's not like it's dirt. I have had this tweet from Matt Watson pull up on my phone like 5 times trying to record this video. I know, Matt Watson is funny YouTuber. He make good tweet. Stop. So then the idea is that I can... Which side has the holes in it? It's the other end. So this side... Ooh, don't drop it. I got something on the freaking screen side. So yeah, this end kind of hooks into those two holes right there. And then you literally just click it down. There's no other tricks to it. You click it down. Okay, I guess you have to do a little bit of warping on it, but not much. All right, it won't hold that well because I don't have the battery cover on it. It's going to be a little loose here because I don't have that screw in it. But yeah, new faceplate, man, that looks freaking amazing. I am stoked. Let's get this battery back in here. I did kind of clean up the battery compartment a little bit. I'm not sure if that'll be in the video. This is taken hours to do, by the way. I am cutting a lot out. I don't want to quite say hours. I mean, it really just sent me another notification for that tweet from Matt Watson. Dude, Twitter, I know. I watch a lot of Super Mega. I do not need it every second of the day, though, Twitter. All right, I got it resting in the slot. I just need to push it in. So, tweezer time. There we go. Battery's in. I did just do that with some sharp tweezers. If you have to do that, don't use sharp tweezers, especially around a battery. You can puncture it. If you watch beat 'em ups, you know, Mr. Wood, you've seen firsthand what happens when you puncture a battery. Oh, that looks like it's going to seal up nice and tight this time. Oh, please do. That's my traveling screwdriver. That won't work. Put the regular Phillips bit in there. Nope, it's still doing it, and I know why. I know why. Oh, I just realized it. Okay. So, this is the gap I was referring to before, and it's why I kind of wanted to bend the metal down where the battery compartment is, because it was definitely warped. Like you can see, this is not going quite right. It should be really flush with this. I realized why. Remember how I told you we were missing 2 tri-wing screws that go underneath here, that go underneath where the battery compartment is? Those 2 tri-wing screws are preventing this lift from happening. But because they're not in here, I have this lift. Oh god, I have to order those screws. Are you kidding me? It's going to be so hard to find the right screws. Maybe there's somebody on eBay who's just like selling like all of the hardware that goes to this thing. I really hope so. But we have our Game Boy Micro with its new faceplate. It has been deep cleaned. I don't have this really annoying metal piece that's bent to hell. It still has a little bit of warpage, like I said, but that is 100 times better than it was. It's been nice and cleaned up. Of course, the new faceplate just looks awesome. Let's power it on. This faceplate kind of sucks, doesn't it? Look at that. The screen isn't lined up right. So if you look on this camera, you are staring directly at the screen. This is a straight on shot. Look at that. The black line on this side, as opposed to the other one, it's almost covering up the screen. Oh, I was so happy about this. Like, I know it's put together right. All I'm missing are those 2 screws. Like, aside from that, this thing is fully built back together. And this does line up with the buttons. Like, the buttons are freely able to go. That doesn't line up right. Well, at the very least, we can put in a copy of Pokemon Sapphire, turn it on, and make sure that everything works. Yep, Game Boy. So our speakers working fine. All right, sorry about the glare. I tried to fix it the best I could. So we know the A button is working. D-pad works fine. Let's go into a menu. B button works. That obviously works fine. Yep, every button is functional. Oh, I didn't really try R and L. I don't really know how I could test that. Maybe if I go to summary? Okay, so L does go back, so I know that works, but R doesn't appear to do anything. That, or it's not working correctly. That probably makes it a bit easier to see that. But yeah, everything seems to be working fine. I just don't know. Here, let's try to give item. No, you can't. Okay, so L does just select things. Okay, cool. But anyways, that is such a clear image now. Like, that is insanely clear now that I can actually see the screen. It just, look at that black line around the edges. That just, God, that hurts me. Alright, well, that issue aside, I think we have done a pretty good job. I am going to have to buy a new faceplate. I think it's been too long for me to return this to eBay because the seller screwed it up. So I'm just going to have to buy a new faceplate. There is one more thing that I haven't shown you, though. I had mentioned in the previous video, I have been bringing my Game Boy Micro with me to work, because I've been playing a lot of Game Boy games lately, and I play it on my lunch. It's probably the nerdiest thing I've done in forever. I've been playing this at home to play my Game Boy, But I think it's kind of nice having something that's super small that I can fit in my small lunch bag to bring with me. Especially because I travel. Like, for my job, I don't just work in one arcade, I work in a handful. So I travel around a lot, so it's like something that I don't really have to worry about. But other than throwing it in this. This came in a loot crate. It's like a pencil bag from Elder Scrolls, which is pretty cool. But obviously it doesn't hold it that well. So I had this shipped in from Germany. That's not a joke. This came from Germany. These little buttons on the outside, the buttons don't actually line up with that, which is kind of dumb. But you can just open this thing up. You can put a game in there if you want to. But you just put this thing down here. I don't know why the buttons are on this side when there's a bag in that side. That mesh could actually possibly damage the screen. So lay it face down. And look, now I have a travel bag all the way from Germany. Something to protect the micro and actually holds it really stiff. I actually planned out this video for a long time. And I bought all of the things for this video a long time ago, but this was the one I was waiting for. This was the one item. I actually don't need this at all. This is the one item that I was waiting for to finally show up, because that's a long shipping time. Alright, and just to kind of celebrate that we finally got this done, we're going to do a Pokemon pack. I'm not moving the camera. You get a scene above camera for this Evolving Skies pack, just because I'm still the Pokemon channel. Let's open this thing up. Got it. Oh, well, I just revealed the code card. You know what? Who cares? I don't care. We did good today. We're going to get a good card. We have a white code card. Anyways, we need to show that. If you want the code, there it is. Then we do 1, 2, 3 to the front. Get rid of the dark energies. My hands are like way above the table to actually show these. We have Aroma Lady, Rescue Carrier, Scrafty Boy. We have the Vegemite, Carvana, Emolga, Slackoth, Glossifleur. As a reverse, we have the Elemental Badge. I've actually not seen that one yet. It's kind of cool to get it as a reverse, since I've never actually seen it before. And on the end, our good card. Okay, we have a Trevant V. Alright. I mean, it's nothing super crazy, but we got a good card, and what I hope was a good video. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know this was very different for my kind of channel. I hope everything turns out okay when it comes time to edit. Like I said, I'm going to have to replace this faceplate again, even though I just bought this one. Get it from a different person. Maybe find an actual company that makes them that has good ratings. And then also do the tri-wing screws back there. I have to replace those so my battery cover can actually close all the way, because that is just so crappy. But I think it went pretty good. I'm happy that I did this. I was going to do it either way, whether it was on video or not. So I do hope that you guys did enjoy it. If you did, let me know. Leave a like. It lets me know that you want to see more stuff like this. And hopefully, I will see all of you next time. Goodbye.